Bush's Family Cafe is worth the trip. What can I say? The title says it all, and in today's video, I'll explain why. Welcome to Bear Facts, where we explore the Smoky Mountains one bear fact at a time. Sometimes you hear about a place and say, someday we should try it, but hold off and not go. Well, Bush's Bean Factory and Restaurant was one of those places for us. We heard great things and wanted to go, but it just never seemed to happen. Granted, there were factors that helped put the visit on the back burner. First, there were the hours. The visitor center has, let's face it, awful hours. They are open from 9 to 4 p.m. Monday through Sunday and closed on Sundays. For the average person, the weekend is going to be the best time to try and visit. And closing by 4 also didn't help make scheduling any better. The other big reason we didn't make visiting Bush's a priority was that the factory doesn't do tours anymore. I love going on tours and seeing the inside of a factory, but the company stopped doing tours, reducing my interest significantly. We'd also learned that the company invested a lot of time and money into their visitor center, allowing guests free admission and parking. Though it was just good plain PR to make this center free for the public, they did try to make it interactive and interesting for all guests, young and old. And for those old-timers like me, Bush's has a nostalgic factor. Many, like me, recall seeing the talking dog for the first time, pre-CG, and it was so cool and funny to see. And even though we never ate beans when we were kids, everyone who knew who Duke was, and many people enjoyed going. So we finally made plans to go visit. A little over a year ago, I convinced my sister to take the trip to Dandridge, and we visited their museum. We walked around, took photos, got a souvenir before heading back to Gatlinburg, but we didn't actually get to do what was, and what I now believe a true tragedy, was eat at the actual restaurant. I really didn't have the motivation to eat there, and at the time, though we had heard the place had got great reviews, the restaurant had even worse hours than the visitor center, and we just didn't have time. And we weren't a bean eating family, so neither of us were at all motivated. I will lay out the facts first about the visitor center. The visitor center is newly redesigned with colorful and informative displays that can appeal to most age groups, and they have free parking and admission. There are some downsides to their operation. First, they have limited hours, don't offer a real tour, and don't hand out samples. They are also a good 30-minute drive from Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. One big deciding factor for many people is the fact that the visitor center and museum is attached to a popular and well-received restaurant. Now, this video isn't really about the visitor center or if you should go or not to Bush's visitor center, but rather if the restaurant is worth your time. So let's talk about the restaurant and why people seem to love visiting Bush's Bean Restaurant. I admit, the only reason we made this second time to Bush's Bean Factory was because of my parents, who had heard about the restaurant and wanted to give it a try. I'll be honest and say that if it wasn't for the restaurant, I don't think I would have made it back to a second visit. The walk through the museum visitor center is nice and all, but it's really not much more than a self-guided tour with a store attached. And though I thought the shirt in a can was really nifty, I didn't need any more souvenir shirts or Duke-shaped stuffies to clutter my shelves. On top of that, they don't even bother with samples of their products. But we had heard all good things about the restaurant, so we made it a priority to get there, finally. And we weren't disappointed. The restaurant is attached to the visitor center and shares the same parking lot. However, though they share a wall, guests of the restaurant or visitor center can actually travel between the two spaces from inside. To get from one to the other, you need to leave and re-enter from the outside. Now, if you ask me, that is inconvenient, but I'm sure they have the reasons. And what I do know from my many adventures in the Smoky Mountains is that the more popular a place is, the longer the wait time can be. And Bush's restaurant is pretty popular. So to combat this, we got there before the restaurant opened and waited at the door outside. Once they opened, we were greeted by a hostess who helped us to our seat. There is a small waiting area as you enter with some chairs, so once they open, you can wait here. Now, I can usually tell you if a place has buzzers, takes your phone number, or writes your name on a wait list, but since we didn't wait, I can't say. Maybe if there is a viewer who knows and wants to share, please do that so in the comments. The inside of the cafe is pretty basic. The tables are simple diner chairs, no frills or unique attributes. They really didn't spend a whole lot of thought or planning into any of the decor, really. When you look around, you see Bush family photos on the walls with an attempt to make it look a little homey, but it really feels like a cafe, not even a diner, just a cafe. Even the home-style windows and back dining area with the barn door isn't really all that unique. But the decor does the purpose. Gives you a clean place to sit and eat with family or friends. One feature that holds a lot of visual and physical space is the full-size counter area with the handwritten menu above with the specials of the day and desserts. There are seating and placemats for guests who want to sit away from the crowd. But the thing is, the cafe really didn't need to spend all the money on decor, as their food, service, and pricing does most of the convincing. The restaurant had a Thanksgiving special on the board for only $10, as the next day was actually Thanksgiving. Just a side note, Bush is closed for Thanksgiving and most all major holidays to give their staff the time to spend with their own family. I had to reread it twice to make sure that the price was correct. A full-size turkey dinner for only $10? Wow! Of course, that is what I ordered. The other people in my party ordered chicken tenders and a hot dog with chili. While we waited, the waitstaff brought drinks and a sample. Finally, a sample. Now, as a side note before I continue, our family didn't eat beans. It wasn't until I got married that I even knew or learned that people actually ate them at family dinners, and not just in chili or hot dogs. I was surprised that Bush's Visitor Center didn't offer free samples. You'd think they would do this to drive sales. And if you ask me, this is Bush's Visitor Center biggest shortcoming. It may seem small or even insignificant, but there's a reason so many places offer samples in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Samples sell products. It still boggles me that in order to finally get a sample of their beans, you had to be in the cafe. Anyway, back to the restaurant. The meals came out pretty quickly after we got our samples. I imagine a place like this needs to have food with a quick turnover to combat crowds. When we ordered our foods, we were offered sides to go with the meal. The dinner platters came with 2 sides, and the sandwich and hot dogs came with 1. There are quite a few to pick from, and no big surprise, quite a few came with beans. I got mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes with my meal, and others in my party got the green beans, fries, and baked apples as their sides. And I was surprised at how big the meals were, especially the turkey platter. But here's the kicker. It was a real and true special, not like offered on the menu at all. In fact, within an hour of their opening, the waitstaff were cleaning the special board off and replacing the turkey dinner with something else. The turkey was very limited, and it was a real turkey they baked. How cool is that? And within an hour, they actually sold out. Now, if you choose to get the hot dog, be aware that they are big. So unless you have a big appetite, just stick with one. The chicken tenders are really popular as well. The breading has more of a KFC consistency, but not really the same taste. The tenders were fresh tasting and they are hand breaded. You might notice that the menu has more sandwiches than other items. There is a pulled pork and catfish on the menu, but the bulk of their products occur between 2 pieces of bread or on a bed of salad. And yes, a vegetarian could find enough to eat at the restaurant. Of course, they also have a decent-sized dessert selection. Many people are fond of the pecan pie, but we chose to partake in the hot fudge sundae. Not a bad size either for the price. Now, here is the thing about Bush's Family Cafe. They are very reasonably priced, have a decent selection of food to choose from, and are family friendly. Even if you have to wait to get into the restaurant, you have plenty to do. You can head over to the gift shop and look over their massive selection of bean products on display, pick up a t-shirt and a can, or even a pair of socks. Look at their fun collection of kitchen accessories, or even check out the odds and ends you find in the corners. Or you can walk around the visitor center, read up on the company's history, and reminisce on the past. If it's warm outside, you can wander around and look at the grounds, or just sit in the waiting area and, well, wait it out. There are a lot of things to do if you plan on getting some grub here. I like that about the place, but keep in mind that they do get very, very busy, and with hours even worse than the visitor center, you need to really plan your visit. They're open from 11 to 4 Mondays to Saturday and close on Sundays. Bush's is a great place if you are visiting already in the Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg area and have the time to actually drive to Dandridge, which is about a half hour to 3 hours away depending on traffic. Haha, just kidding. No, seriously, Pigeon Forge's traffic can get bad, but you are on a lot of back roads, so it's not all red lights, and it is only about a half hour drive. This is a great lunch or very early dinner option, but they're not open for late dinner or breakfast and are closed on Sundays. So keep that in mind. I also imagine that you will run into buses or group tours, which could also mean crowds and more people. I have not had that pleasure to experience, but I know it happens. Your best bet is to hit them up during the weekdays and avoid all holidays. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have any positive experiences at Bush's to share, please let us know about them in the comments. As always, thank you for visiting us at Bearfacts of the Smoky Mountains. Please help us by clicking that like button and subscribing to our channel.